This is Entertaining the Light with Amanda Beck and Whitney Ann Jenkins, where we discuss and challenge the starving artist archetype. Hello, and welcome to our fourth episode of Entertaining the Light. This time we have our very first guest. Yes, Dr. Marina Smirnova is originally from an island in the far east of Russia, and she began her academic study in music education.
Yes, and she has some fascinating stories with music education, and then she, how she transitioned into counseling and psychology, and now holds her PhD in psychology with a transpersonal psychology concentration from Sofia University.
Yes, and she is the coordinator for the consciousness, spirituality, and integrative health specialization at Saybrook University. And we've had the pleasure of having her as a professor and being held in her warm and gentle and calming presence with subjects that can get kind of heady and deep, and still be able to maintain an ease to all this subject matter.
Absolutely. So I think you're gonna see for yourself more than we can even speak when you listen to the episode, because she's just that Mother Nature. God is presence and makes you feel safe, and everything is as it's supposed to be, and you are where you're supposed to be. So I'm super excited to have her on this episode.
Me too. So here is Dr. Marina Smirnova, our first guest.
I'm so glad. What a privilege. Thank you for having me.
So yeah, I think Whitney, I'm going to try and be part of this, but she's going to maybe be a little bit more a guide today.
Yes, absolutely. And however it naturally unfolds, I think that's the best part, because everyone wants the real conversation, just how it goes. That's just how it goes. And that's wonderful.
Yes.
This is as good as it gets, okay?
Yeah.
So here we are. I remember someone once said, here we are in all our glory, and it doesn't get any better than this. This moment in time, it doesn't get any better than this, and we'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Yes. So your background as a musician, I'm really interested to learn, because I'm not so familiar with that part of your background.
Certainly happy to share. I was born from my experience, in a mystical place of the world, on Sakhalin Island, north of Japan. Highly multicultural, very diverse, incredibly vibrant environment. And on top of that, my mother happens to be a musician. So needless to say, as a child, I experienced many wonderful environments, music-wise, and rehearsals, and all sorts of concerts and practices. So music grew on me. And of course, my mom made sure that that would be the case. And I studied piano and also vocal and choral conducting, so a little bit of everything. Music never leaves me. And so this is something that was my first love and is first love. And then it unfolded and developed into the music of the soul. And that's what happened.
Wow.
And I noticed that you said that your mother made sure that that was the case. So I was going to follow up with that, if that was something that you felt as well, but you were able to answer that.
Yes, very good question. Both really, but she was so diligent and at times highly insistent that for me it seemed like there were no other way that was vibrant enough to pursue, although I had my own ideas, as all children do. And that's what connects us to that idea of calling. And to James Hillman's text, his book, The Soul's Code. And this is so relevant to all of us human beings, because as children, we have a good understanding, however imaginal and beautiful imaginal it is, what we are to do and how we're to do so. And we even have confidence to declare it with. And as we grow, of course, we learn, oh, maybe this way, maybe that way, maybe this is what I must do to fit in, to make it through, what have you. But that calling is really in many ways is at the heart of the conversation of being human.
Yes. And when was the first time that you recognized that calling within yourself?
I will speak for psychology, yes, more for transpersonal psychology, also with humanistic flavor and hue and inclinations. I sense that after already receiving my bachelor's degree with music education and already teaching in the field, there's something started to pull on me, and I like to think of it as my own guardian angel, as a Daimon, as James Hillman would say it. And I understood that I am interested in the inner world. I am so interested in that inner mystique, inner image that each of us carries. And that too holds that music of the heart, music of the soul, music of who we are. And every note and every rest or pause there counts. And from there on, I decided, okay, I'm going to explore. This is what I'm interested in. How do I find it? And at that time, I did not even know the word transpersonal as a word. I just knew that I'm interested in more about the psyche. And so I decided to pursue a master's degree in counseling. And I really appreciated that education, and my instructors were wonderful, and what they gave me was a lot. And at the same time, I knew there were more. There was more for me to explore. So little by little, it took years, but I did land smack into the field of transpersonal psychology. We can think of it as the psychology that is going beyond, above, but through the realm of the personal. So everything that traditionally is excluded in mainstream understanding is included in transpersonal psych. We can also think of it as a psychology of the highest human potentials, of psychology of spirituality. And there are many ways to define it, including psychology of the wisdom traditions of the world.
Yes. That was such a good way, though, to describe like the humanistic psychology. Thank you for that, because I needed to hear that too.
You're most welcome. And the description happens in conversation without really describing it, in heavy terms, because being human is so much what a privilege. It comes with a wealth of treasures and puzzles and predicaments, and of course, paradoxes. But yes, humanistic is definitely, to me, it's all about being human, fully human.
Right. And to sort of anchor it back to, because our podcast is centered around the performing arts, so we kind of want to like anchor it back to here every now and then.
Yes.
Like altered states of consciousness as a performer. Like I feel like I've experienced that while performing, and as you performing music, you must have some kind of experience that you could probably share your wisdom with that.
Thank you for asking. Thank you, Whitney. Yes, expanded states of consciousness, they go by many names. Sometimes you hear, non-ordinary, yes, or altered states, expanded states, so transpersonal states, right? Or states that allow us access to that, experience of flow, yes, being fully in our best. This is something that anyone who is familiar with performing arts or is simply interested in sharing their gifts in public, however small the circle is, however large it has experienced. And so for me, it is an opening. And this is where music for me connects with the psyche, with the soul, because something opens up within us where we are gifted and given more than we remember having. And we're also challenged in ways more than we remember being challenged. This is where the best of preparations can just surprise us and humble us. And at the same time, the expanded states, in my experience, are very opportune states because they offer opportunities for more, even through struggle, even through failure, even through whatever that is, it's offers an opportunity for something else. Maybe it's for a pivot, maybe it's for another idea, but it certainly engages the imagination. So to me, that is gold when we talk about expanded states, because more of us are present and we're surprised by more of us being present. And this is where remembering that our psyche can be viewed as multiplicity. Yes, that is united. We can think of the image of the self with the capital letter S, as in Carl Gustav Jung's ideas and in Jungian ideas, as a totality that is also mystery, who we are. Yes, because it embraces all of different parts of who we are, but also has this guiding principle, in action, and it's a manifestation of wholeness of who we are. So with expanded states, I sense that we have those opportune moments to witness being present to more of who we are and to more of who each of us is, individually and collectively. And we get different glimpses now and then, but certainly stories abide. Yes, how that all happens. And in my case, many performances with my choral groups, choirs, and also some experience with community choirs and civil theater musicals. Yeah. Thank you for asking. Thank you, Whitney.
The flow state, super interesting. Do you tend to ever forget what you've done, when you've kind of accessed that afterwards?
Yes, there's so much happening, in the world of performance, and for me personally, knowing that sliver of it, yes, through my line of experiences with music. All sorts of things happen. Yes, forgetting happens, but also remembering. And that's what I would like to also emphasize, because in forgetting, we're offered an opportunity to remember something else. And what comes through in those moments, it's just one of the stories that is with me is the story of Ella Fitzgerald, as shared to us briefly, however briefly, by James Hillman in his book, The Soul's Code. And as the story holds it, Ella Fitzgerald actually meant to dance in a contest. And then all of a sudden, at the very last moment, we could imaginally say she forgot how to dance. And she decided to sing instead.
Wow.
And the world received Ella Fitzgerald. We forget and we remember.
Yeah. On your journey of discovery with transpersonal psychology, was there a moment that you recognized that feeling of an altered or enhanced state of consciousness that you felt while you were with your music, that you were able to attain similarly, not necessarily the same, in other ways?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for asking. I would link it to an earlier experience, very early experience. And although that particular experience when I was a child, I would imagine about 4 or 5, I was outside in nature with a friend. Even though I do not recall music being directly involved, I already know that I was prepared for it through the musical life that my mother shared with me, and that she has began cultivating in me. So that time of expanded awareness, where as a child I understood that I am here, but I'm also beyond being here. That even though here I am in this small child's body outside, basking on the sun in the presence of a friend who's just wondering what happened to me. Like, am I okay? Of course I'm okay. I'm more than okay. And so there's something has opened up within me, and that expansion had musical quality to it. In a sense, it was this kind of this, all of a sudden, this finale of a small composition. Okay, here that is. Here's a breakthrough. Here's that point of a breakthrough. So before I knew the language for breakthrough as it's used, quite often in transpersonal work, there it was. And I could trace instances like this that were connected with music during the performances and during the rehearsals as well, where all of a sudden that understanding that I'm so much more and others are so much more, and we as humankind are so much more than we allow ourselves to remember. And that is through music, yes, because it allows that opening and expansion of the psyche, that all of a sudden that, again, remembrance comes in. Could it be that in those times, our guardian angel or Daimon, that guiding, spiritual principle, if we will, is showing up and whispers to us in ways that we have not heard before? I would imagine that happens. It happens. And it's not uncommon for persons who have musical background, who have musical education and investment in music, to come into psychology and helping professions and healing arts and coaching. It's very, very common. So this is not unique. There has got to be some form of a pattern in it, perhaps archetypal one. And we just simply keep following.
Yeah, and I'm suspects perhaps even an energetic pattern as well as vibration.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. It was interesting too, because as you were talking about that, there being more to us in musical terms, I was thinking this feels very similar in my acting as well, like being able to, I didn't understand why I felt so able to go to different places or experiences that I haven't personally had or haven't personally felt like safe enough to like live out in my regular life, but in the art being able to like access something beyond ourselves, but also all these different like parts of ourselves. So yeah, it's super interesting to think about. Thank you for sharing that.
Certainly. Yes. Thank you. And there's something to be said to have an environment, yes, that allows that expression, that artistic expression, how precious and how challenging. Yes, because in your first episode, you were so sensitive, both of you, to the realities of artistic lives, yes, the claims and the challenges, and how difficult it could be, for instance, for an actor or an actress, so someone who leans into the image that they convey so deeply, how difficult it is to actually gently step out or step aside or disconnect in some ways, right? Or disidentify. What a process, what a process. And I sense that I imagine, what would James Hillman say about this? How would he say it? And of course, I can only imagine what he would say about this, right? And putting his hat on ever so gently and ever so lightly, I would think that he would remind us that in those instances when we do want to remember who we are, right? To remember that we are here with our own calling, with our own path that is so unique to us. And quite often we forget, yes, but this is where Daimon comes in, our guardian angel. And he calls it also at times in faith and character, so many names, or innate image, that we remember to be faithful to it. And to me, it's just an invitation to be with ever so deeply with the work of our life, right, of our heart, what is given to us, what is gifted to us. And at the same time, when it is time to return to us, that would be that concept of our own innate image, of our own destiny, our own guiding principle would be very, very helpful.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, it's so easy to forget until you remember.
Yes, definitely, because it's both that remembering and forgetting. It's just part of the dance, part of that cosmic dance. We remember, we forget. It's in a way, that has been said in so many ways, that the divine plays out in the world, remembering itself and forgetting itself. The eminent divine and the transcendent divine, and here we are, human beings with souls and with wings, and there we say, with guiding angels, each of us gets. And that story, as many know, comes back to Plato's story, the myth of myth of And in Plato's Republic, this is where Plato shared that myth. He shares the story of a warrior who actually dies in a battle among many of his soldiers, his colleagues, his people. And when the villagers come to collect their fallen ones, they've noticed that the body of is not given ways of the natural process of organic life. So they decide to actually hold on to the body and see what happens. And in the meantime, is given an opportunity to actually witness what happens between lives, with an idea that he is to return into the body when that was shared with him, that mystery was shared with him, and to share with his people. So he gets that heroic journey, gets to experience it. So in that journey, he sees that there are many souls, and they are given, each of them is given a daimon, or a guardian angel, or this guiding spiritual principle that's unique to each soul, to each individual. And each soul gets to select their lot in the next life. But in a sense, it's not like I would like this, but not that, this, but not that, but it's kind of a basket, right? It's like, here's this gift basket. It's a little bit of everything, but maybe there's this main theme, right? Or leitmotif that just captures you. Go ahead and go with this. And certainly he witnesses that, story, our soul. And then he notices that once every soul chooses its lot, then that decision is actually sealed in by the fates. So it becomes woven in and irreversible. And then each soul is invited to go into the valley of oblivion and to drink the water of forgetfulness. So then upon arrival into the human body, each soul forgets of its own choosing with Daimon's guidance, of its destiny, and supposedly parents and circumstances were born into, and including the bodies and so on. And James Hillman actually goes on to say that there's a crease on top of our upper lip, and we could not figure out what it's for. And as the myth or the stories say, it is the angel who presses on top of, our upper lip, so that we keep silence about what we know. That we had a hand in choosing what happens and how. And of course, having taken that water of forgetfulness, we forget. We arrive remembering very little. And yet children, as we know, the veil for them is quite open often enough, so they can get glimpses much better than most adults. So with that, remembrance, there's something magical for those who dedicate themselves to artistic life. Could it be that life has been chosen by each who pursues it? Could it be that each is given the guardian angel, the Daimon, who helps to remember that inner image within that we're to fulfill? Could it be? And if that is so, if we imagine it to be so, could that be that everything that happens on the way somehow offers us opportunities to develop that inner image, that calling of our heart? And that comes with 360 experiences, not only those that we view as positive or beneficial, but also those that are challenging. Remember Ella Fitzgerald? Somehow, as Hillman pointed out, she meant to dance. She meant to dance, and then she remembered.
Yeah, I love that story. And I think it's really interesting, the use of water as a symbol in that story, because the water of forgetfulness, when water is such an essential aspect of our life in every day. So we are drinking water every day and forgetting perhaps what we used to remember.
And I would like to raise my glass of water for remembering also.
Yes.
Cheers to remembering also. Forgetting when we must and remembering what we must. Cheers to that.
Mhm.
And in that, Whitney, we actually get to remember, yes, the power of water. I'm so glad you shared that. Mysterious, magical, so essential, and so life-giving, and how we can utilize it. It's quite powerful. Dr. Emoto, actually, late Dr. Emoto, did a lot of research with water, and how specifically in our conversation here, how thoughts affect water, the structure, and you could see it like in pictures, our listeners could easily find those pictures, how important that is to hold the vibration of our intention faithfully and as diligently as we can, to remember that our attitudes, our inner positionality, our thoughts do affect water. He showed us this. And we are mostly water as human beings. There you go. So this is a practical way. Yes, we could even think of it as an opportunity for a simple spiritual practice. Anytime we take a glass of water, why not take it as an opportunity to pause and to remember? Remember that we too have a saying in how things go.
I think I need to drink a lot more water.
Me too.
Count me in. Yes.
I love that so much. And so the idea of a container that you were speaking of, to hold the art that we're creating, I also can relate that to like the divine masculine and divine the masculine holding the container for the creative chaos, which can also be very Jungian in its approach.
Mhm. Yes, yes. The archetypal masculine and the feminine complete each other, yes, and yet offer such unique, valuable, and peculiar functions and perspectives. Absolutely. And returning to that idea that we can view our psyche as a multiplicity that is united by we can say the self, for example, or the higher organizing principle. Yeah, so archetypal, the self would be in Jungian terms also an archetype, but the masculine and the feminine is all within, and it is welcome. It's that idea also of yin and yang, right? The idea that even though we can identify ourselves and within our different roles or different artistic pursuits or endeavors as leaning more into the one side or the other, but both are to be cultivated. Both are very, very useful. Both require nurturance. And in essence, that idea of the sacred marriage of the masculine and the feminine allows us that opportunity to fulfill what is our heart's desires. What can we do here and now? And that seems difficult to do with respect to being present right here, right now, rather than focusing a moment ago or a moment after, or let alone a week, a month, a year ahead. Yeah. So how do we remember, yes, to honor it here as we are and how we are? And as I mentioned earlier, someone wise said, here we are in all our glory, and it does not get any better than this. Yes, a reminder, however we show up, however archetypally it is skewed or balanced, masculine, feminine, both, what have you, combination, there it is. And the next moment allows for something else, and next moment allows for another transformation. So to me, the performing arts offer the opportunity to be present so much more than any other field. And yes, the container, yes, Whitney, you mentioned the container, how important that is for us to cultivate it, first of all, within, yes, as an inner containing, inner sanctuary, inner sacred place of residing, being within ourselves, right? Fully being present to ourselves, and also seek out and cultivate and help to develop environments that offer that externally. Because we do know that although genetics are important, there is a growing and mighty field of epigenetics that actually shows us how environments influence the expression of our genes in an ongoing manner. And therefore, all of us are influenced, not simply our thoughts and attitudes and preferences, yes, met or unmet, etc. Actually, the expression of genes, gene expression modulation, right? What quite often you hear it's called, is actually affected by environments. If it's affected by outer environment, I guess it's affected by inner environment. Could it be that in performing arts, in leading artistic life, we are asked to align not only with our calling, but also aligned in a sense, help that alignment within and without to environments that will help to manifest us, help us to manifest the fullness of our gifts. And also help to challenge us, because James Hillman is very clear and open about the fact that calling itself, no matter how precious it is, and it is precious, no matter how valuable and larger than life it is, and it is so, it is not the only requisite, right, for achieving and manifesting our fullest, highest destiny, if you will. He speaks about character. He speaks about how character actually is essential in that path of fulfilling what is our heart's desire, or another way to say it, what is it that we're called to do in this life. And speaking of challenges that individuals in art and all sorts of artistic pursuit they experience, including working, temporarily or long-term in positions that perhaps are not as well suited for them. Yes, to simply make living, to do their diligence, to pay the bills, to help family, etc., friends, and to support themselves. And to me, this is where the opportunity for developing character comes in, because Hillman speaks, it's not about what we do, it's about how we do it. And that how is redeeming grace to me. So that helps us to elevate our spirit, no matter which circumstances we come into or find ourselves. And we know that the how is ours. How can we be present with that? How can we navigate that task, or how can we navigate that position or that role? No matter how we might like to just skip this one, give me the next one, give me something better. Okay, give me something I'm born for. Absolutely. And first, let's fulfill the how of here and now. And with that, it is a marriage in essence, right? A companionship, a collaboration between our calling and our daimon, and something that we develop within us with each day, with each breath, with each decision, the character that helps to fulfill, if you ask me, our highest calling, our highest destiny. That is never to be forgotten. And that also is filled with humility and humble experiences, because we're only human, and we are human. We're also human, so much larger. Yeah.
Wow.
I think that ties into something that Amanda and I talk about frequently, is the idea of feeling safe and surrendering to something much larger, such as the Daimon. So you're not putting so much pressure on yourself to be able to achieve, but you're trusting that the how will come as it needs to come in order for you to get to where you need to go.
Yes, yes. Thank you. And there are so many hows, right? It's the how do I get from here to there? And then there's how every step of the way, how am I to, accomplish this particular small task? Maybe it's a bullet point on our to-do list. Yes. Or how am I to answer, that invitation or that invitation? And how am I to create a frame, a container for my life that allows for proper rest, allows for proper nourishment. Cheers to water, right? And foods that sustain us. Hopefully those that actually align, yes, with our system and help us to be healthy and feel well. And so the list continues with that. It's in a sense, a gift and a challenge, and also a blessing. Yes, because for me, in remembering what I accomplished well up to this point in my life, and remember what I did not accomplish well up to this point in my life. If I were to use James Hillman's view here, is that even my own failures would be an invitation to remember the Daimon, my true calling, and also an invitation to view my successes and my lack thereof from the perspective of my destiny. Could it be that what I did not do well, I was not supposed to do well? And could it be that what I did not do well also helped me to chisel out the features of my character that I needed to have in order to truly fulfill what is it that I'm here to do? And I believe that it could be so, imaginally so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. I feel like I've had a lot of those instances, and I think I actually spoke with you on this before in your class, because I think you were speaking, and I actually wanted to ask you about this more, about having to about us holding our shape as opposed to trying to fit into somewhere we don't belong, because
Yeah.
I've certainly uh, tried to do that in many instances, and then I would have end up having to leave the job and feel like I was a failure, and then more realizing that I don't think I was supposed to fit in there.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much, Amanda. That idea, and I'm glad you remembered, to keeping our own shape comes from Clarissa Pinkola Estes. To me, her teachings as James Hillman's are so valuable, and I so deeply respect her work. And of course, Clarissa meant what she meant by that idea, and she describes it in a way how she feels it. And what's important is, how does each of us see that idea, right? How does each of us respond to this? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to me? What does it mean to Whitney? Yes. And holding on to me, holding on and keeping our own shape, following Clarissa Pinkola Estes' idea, is so many things, including being true to what we deeply know inside of our heart, inside of our soul, even if everything around us suggests to the contrary.
Mm.
That trust, that developing that trust that we know, that we know, and that we know that we know, is so incredibly valuable, and it takes time. And this is where challenges come in, and we learn, darn it, I knew it. I just had a sense that I had to go this way but no, I listened to someone else, or I listened to, my manager, or I listened to my coworker, or what have you. And I decided it would be wiser to go another way. And then you find out you were right. Your intuitive hunch was right on. And so following those hunches, I feel that they help us to keep our own shape and not to, bend beyond it. And here also we see the resemblance to James Hillman's ideas, because in following our own calling, in listening to our own daimon and fulfilling our own destiny, we are actually, in a sense, we're letting go of any and all other possibilities. And we're choosing just that, just my own shape. Is it a surprise to us, or no surprise to us, that according to the myth of and James Hillman's ideas around this, that we also are selecting our environment, including the body and the parental environment we're incarnating in? Could that be that we're already choosing that shape, literally speaking? Yes, literally. And then we are given an opportunity to actually experience that shape from within, that inner image from within as it's unfolding. But James Hillman is so good about saying that we already grasp the essence and the fullness of the image right away. It is just kind of that unfolding it and manifesting it and bringing it to life. That's a heck of a journey, right? That's a big one. But we already have this clear idea. What is that we're after? Because it presents itself divinely so to us. And Daimon makes sure, yes, maybe it's here, maybe it's there. I keep pointing one way or another. But however you experience, yes, your guardian angel, your Daimon, your genius, yes, however you experience that being who imaginally so, yes, again. And I think in this conversation, imagination is welcome. And so imaginally so that daimon, that genius, is here to support each of us and to help us to remember to keep our own shape.
Mm.
That's exactly the point. Yes, and even in language, so many times we hear like, oh, we don't have to, get out of our way or do this or veer this way, that way. And truly, it's just a way to remind us that we're here. We already know so very much. And the intuitive ideas that come through us, however whispering they may seem, right, to us, or however at times even in a shouting ways, whatever that is, because if we're not listening, the call can come in and in a quite louder way. Yes, hello, ringing the bells here. Yes, and for the purpose of just also going with the flow and being fully present, I would like to offer that call ever so gently as a reminder to each of us and also to our listeners. Give me just a moment.
Oh no.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Oh, yes. We're playing, are we not? Okay. So in a moment, just allow yourself to simply take a moment to be and shift and adjust your body as needed. Take a deep breath or several deep breaths. And allow yourself to simply welcome the sound as a reminder of who you truly are, what you're here to do. And as a reminder that you come supported by your guardian angel, supported by so many who love you, who you already know and whom you are yet to meet. And remembering that you are here for a reason and to stay the course of your highest calling. Another deep breath. And exhale all the way. Just like that. Simply remembering.
Mm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marina.
You're most welcome. You see, we co-create together. Just allowing us to be with what arises.
Mm.
Thank you for that reminder.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah, so thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all of your wisdom. If our listeners would like to explore your work or perhaps even work with you in any capacity, where can we guide them to?
Thank you for asking, and thank you for offering this opportunity. My Saybrook faculty profile page is a good place to start. And also my first and my last name.com. That would be Marina Smirnova.com.
Excellent.
Thank you. I just
Thank
want to
you.
talk to you all. Like, I just want you to talk to me every day. I love everything you shared. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you for making it so personable, as if we're all sitting here together with our glass of water, just chatting. And that's just the best way to know. Thank you for opening, and thank you so much for actually doing what you're called to do.
Mm.
That is so valuable. This is so important. And that would help me also to say, absolutely, I'll be right there. And we'll do it right away, right away.
Absolutely.
Remembering to breathe. And you see, we all of a sudden, we have our own now water ritual.
Yes, thank you.
Let's do our best to remember, because it has been co-created. Every time we raise a glass of water, we can remember more.
Yeah,
Yes, absolutely.
good.
Thank you so much. So enjoy, blessings, and but I think you've got it. You totally got it.